My name is Beth Close, and this is my presentation on the history of mime and all other things mime. Mime is the most ancient performing art in the world, and still today attracts people in a very deep, intuitive way. In its portrayal of emotion, thought and experience through the body, mime transcends cultural barriers because it's based on expression and not on appearance. Mime is a spontaneous language. On the first page of the handout that I've given everyone, it talks about the history of mime in primitive times. I don't want this to be patronising. As a class, we've summed it up pretty simply that mime has just basically always been there as a form of communication before language developed. Mime is considered to be one of the earliest mediums of self-expression. Before there was spoken language, mime was used to communicate what primitive people needed or wanted, and primitive relating to, denoting or preserving the early stage in evolutionary historical development of something. So cavemen, cavewomen, Neanderthals, all that. The principal mimes in primitive times were known as ethologues, and the scenes they would perform would teach moral lessons. Actually, no, that wasn't in primitive times. This was when mime eventually became a form of entertainment because of development of language. And when spoken language eventually developed, it was seen as something that was no longer needed solely for communication, and developed into a true theatrical form in ancient Greece, where performers enacted everyday scenes with the help of elaborate gestures, as demonstrated here by on the next page of the handout, it talks about ancient Greeks and Romans, and this is about how mime moved on to become a form of entertainment, as it wasn't, again, vital for everyday communication anymore. The theatre of Dionysus in Athens, I hope I've pronounced that right, masked actors would perform outdoors in daylight before audiences of 10,000 or more at festivals in honour of the god of theatre. No, I got that wrong, sorry. In honour of Dionysus, the god of theatre. I got it right. The most elaborate form of mime, known as hypothesis, approached the level of true drama. The comedy and tragedy, which developed in Athens and flourished in the 5th and 4th centuries BC, influenced nearly all subsequent Western and modern drama, starting with the Romans. The Romans conquered Greece, and they brought the Greek art of mime back to Italy and set about making it their own. Another thing to point out, which actually surprised me, after the fall of the Roman Empire, the Christian church showed great opposition to the bawdy and often indecent associations of mime. The church began to relax its attitude, mystery and morality plays began to appear with religious themes, many performed in mime. And that surprised me because really strict Christians, Puritans, they're all about no entertainment, no fun, it's a sin, so that kind of surprised me. The next bit of the handout is about Commedia dell'arte in Italy, after the Romans brought mime over to Italy to make it their own. It continued to entertain through the Middle Ages and reached its height in the 16th century Italy in the form of Commedia dell'arte. Street performers began donning masks with exaggerated comical features to draw attention to themselves and to complement their acrobatic skills. The characters they created became affectionately known as Zani. It wasn't until two Zani performers teamed up that Commedia dell'arte really took root, and by 1550 it became a firmly established genre. And this is the first practitioner I'm going to talk about. His name is Jacques Lecoq, and I love him so much. And I'll explain why in a minute, but this is a quote this is something that he said. To mime is to literally embody and therefore understand better. A person who handles bricks all day long reaches a point where he no longer knows what he's handling. It's become an automatic part of his physical life. If he's asked to mime the object, he rediscovers the meaning of the object, its weight and volume. This has interesting consequences for our teaching method. Miming is a way of rediscovering a thing with renewed freshness. Jacques Lecoq was born in 1921 and he died in 1999. He was a French actor, mime and acting instructor. He came up with the neutral mask. Lecoq came to the theatre from a background in gymnastics and as a teacher of physical education for several years. He came to understand movement as a kind of physical poetry, and as a trainer of actors, he aimed to nurture the unique creativity of the individual performer rather than take a one-size-fits-all approach. One of the key exercises in Lecoq training is neutral mask, which I just talked about, which makes the actor aware of their individual habits and tendencies so they can move beyond them to become someone else. And the reason why I love this so much, particularly for actors, there's another practitioner I'm going to talk about, which is more for performers. We've gone through the difference between performers and actors before, because in any situation you'll get yourself into where you need to become a different character, you might give that character a walk or different tendencies and expressions to make yourself into a different person, but you're still doing the little mannerisms and traits every day that you don't realise you're doing. And Jacques Lecoq used the neutral mask method so that the actors that he was training would realise the mannerisms and traits that they had so that they could completely just scrap them in order to become a new character. The three skills that Lecoq fosters are le jeu, which is playfulness, complicité, which is togetherness, and disponibilité, which is openness. And quite a lot of the time is spent learning to become a clown. While method-based acting focuses on drawing on your own sense memories and experience, Lecoq's approach looks outward. It's a training in observation, observing the world anew. You learn about character through observing behaviour as well as material objects. He encouraged his actors to explore ways of expression that fitted their individuality. Exploratory mime was one of his means of doing this. I have an example of an actor going through his neutral mask method. And I think through this mime method, you can truly forget, well not forget, but get rid of temporarily everything about yourself that you don't realise you do every day to become a new character. A mime method before you go on to actually acting with sound. The next practitioner I'm going to talk about is Adam Darius. He is an American dancer, mime artist, writer and choreographer. He was born in America, 1930. He developed something called expressive mime, which is a mime method used more with dance. This is a good mime method for performers rather than actors. So musical theatre performance, and it's group work and generally done with music, and it's comparable to the neutral mask Jacques Lecoq mime method, because Lecoq's method is all about getting into character on your own, and it's more dramatic than expressive mime. I'm done. I hope you all enjoyed listening to the presentation.
Well done, Ben.
Do we get to see the other examples before I switch this off?
Oh crap, yeah. So I was gone. Okay, this is an example of Adam Darius's expressive mime, and then we'll have a quick look at Commedia dell'arte. And a little bit before, I completely forgot, I do apologise, on Commedia dell'arte, a big part of history of mime in Italy. And I'll put it on full screen this time.
Commedia dell'arte is not a museum art form. What we're offering to you is a living art. In Commedia dell'arte performance, there is much more happening, such as what type of characters are there? How are they portrayed? Are there any special tricks used? And do they always improvise their shows? And how does an audience influence a commedia performance? So let's take you through 7 main areas of exploration in order to assist you in your understanding of how to analyse Commedia dell'arte performance. Commedia dell'arte key features for performance analysis are: 1. Stock characters are the basis of Commedia dell'arte. 2. The stock characters are recognisable by the audience immediately. Each area has a brief introduction that will include a short demonstration and a live performance excerpt highlighting specified commedia skills and techniques performed by our own commedia troupe Commedia dell'Ozzi using our original show Wedding Knot for Isabella. To conclude, in each area there will be a summary of the key skills and techniques to help you in your analysis of commedia performance. We recommend you getting to creating and analysing your own Commedia dell'arte, such as solo performances, ensemble group device work and scripted plays. Be part of